Welcome to Currently Caffeinating. It is Sunday, June 2nd, 2024. I wanted to do something a little bit different today, a walk and talk, if you will, go more in depth with my experience at Comicpalooza and meeting Michael J. Fox. So tag along with me, if you will. So I've been a fan of Michael J. Fox since Family Ties, and I always loved his character, Alex P. Keaton, and really thought he was funny. And then Back to the Future comes out, and his career just takes off. And at the time, Family Ties was the number one television show, and Back to the Future was the number one movie. And I remember going to the movies and seeing Back to the Future for the very first time. And of course, being a big fan of his and watching all his other movies multiple times, like The Secret of My Success and Doc Hollywood. And then he went back to television and starred in Spin City, which I was a fan of. And I never thought in a million years that I would ever get to meet him. And just a little while back, I saw on Facebook that he was coming to Comicpalooza with Christopher Lloyd, and I knew this was my opportunity to go see him. My dream was coming true, so I had to take advantage of that. I couldn't let that pass by. So I've never been a real fan of autographs. I'd rather get a photo with that person. So I held off on getting the autograph for a while, and as the days went by and got closer and closer, I caved in and said, heck it, I'm going to get me an autograph. So last Sunday morning, I left early, around a little bit before 8 in the morning, and I got about halfway there, and on the freeway, they had the freeway shut down completely, and they were making everybody exit. Like, there's about 6 lanes or so, all had to take this one exit. So my anxiety started kicking in. I saw the estimated time on my GPS keep getting later and later. I was supposed to arrive around 8:22ish, and it started going up to 8:45, 8:47. So I was getting a little nervous. So it did set me back about 20 minutes or so, but I did leave early, so there wasn't an issue with that. Hello, duckies. How you doing today? So I got to the parking garage and parked, and it was about an 8-minute walk to the George R. Brown Convention Center. And what I didn't know is that even though I had the speed pass, I still needed to get a wristband. So I went to go stand in line to get in, because if you have a speed pass, you get in 30 minutes before the general admission people do. But while I was getting in line, one of the volunteers said that you have to have a wristband as well. So I went to one of the booths, and he asked me what kind of pass I had. I told him I had the Back to the Future speed pass, so he gave me a silver wristband to wear, and I was able to get into the main hall 30 minutes early. So that was a good thing. So I lined up to meet Michael J. Fox, and I tell you what, that speed pass was a game changer, because the line for that was super short compared to the general admission. There was probably about 6 people in front of me, and I didn't have to wait it long at all. So if you ever go, I highly recommend getting the speed pass. So they had Michael J. Fox hidden behind this curtain. You know, it was like going to see the Wizard of Oz or something. But so you go behind this curtain, and there he was, sitting almost in the middle of the room, sitting in his chair. They had us line up to the left of him, and it was just real quick, one by one. You walk over to him, they take your pick, on to the next person. So you really didn't have time to speak to him, have a conversation with him. So I waited my turn, and as I was standing there, I was thinking about maybe doing some kind of pose I was thinking about putting my arm out like I was looking at my watch, but not looking at the watch, but looking at the camera. And when I approached him, as I was walking towards him, I just said real quick, "Hey, how you doing?" And his face lit up and he smiled and he's like, "Hey, how you doing?" Real quick. And I stood beside him, a little bit behind him, and forgot all about posing, which is okay. I just wanted a picture with him anyways. And they snapped the pic and I was on my way. I mean, it was that quick. Then they ushered us through some more curtains in the back, and they had this booth that had all these printers, and they were printing out everybody's pictures one by one. So I didn't have to wait long to get my picture. So my photo op with him was around 11 a.m. I was done with all of that around 11:20ish, and I went and got me a slice of pizza and a drink. Sat down for a while, and then I got in line for the autograph, which was from 12:30 to 1:30. So again, I got in the fast pass line. There was a little bit more people ahead of me on this one, but again, the line wasn't as huge as the general admission one. And in this case, I was thinking that I would get to hand him my poster, have him sign it, and I could ask him a question or two. And again, they had him hidden behind the curtain. So when we walked back there again, I noticed that wouldn't be the case. So when I walked in, he was sitting behind this long table towards the end of it, or almost at the end of it. And he had volunteers or assistants behind the table with him. And when you walked in there, you hand your item to one of those volunteers, and then they pass the item down to him, and he signs it real quick, and then they pass it down to the end of the table, and you pick it up. The only thing is, they had some kind of stanchion blocking the area that would be right in front of him at the table. So you couldn't stand directly in front of him. Once you handed your item to the volunteer, you had to walk around this stanchion. I mean, you could still see him. He was right there, but you just couldn't stand right directly in front of him at the table. And you walk around that stanchion. They hand him your item. They hand him a pen or a marker. He signs it real quick, and then they slide it over to you, and then they usher you out. Now, I could have yelled something out to him. I could have said something, but I didn't. But somebody in the room with me did yell out, "Hey, Michael, we love you." And he looked up and smiled, and his face lit up. And I thought that was a cool moment. So I would have loved to have met Christopher Lloyd and got his picture and autograph, but it just wasn't in my budget. I couldn't afford to do both. But the main thing was I wanted to get a picture and autograph with Michael J. Fox. So yeah, the whole experience was pretty awesome. I really do wish I could have had a couple of moments with him to speak to him, but I can understand there were so many people, and if you gave everybody like 2 or 3 minutes with him, it would have took a long time. So I do understand that, and with his condition, I guess they just wanted to get people in and out as quickly as possible. So like I was saying, who knows if Michael J. Fox, how many more conventions he will do, or if he'll ever come back to Houston again, with his condition and everything. So I really did have to take advantage of this opportunity, and I'm so glad I did. It was a very quick and brief meeting with him, but to be able to stand in the next room or stand next to him in the same room, I mean, just right next to him was just an awesome experience. So I also got to meet Amanda Wiss from Better Off Dead and Nightmare on Elm Street and Fast Times at Ridgemont High. She's one of those actresses that's been in those 80s movies that I watched over and over when I was younger. And she's not a big name actress, but she's someone that I recognize. So I did go get an autograph and picture with her. And I mean, she couldn't been more nicer. I mean, she was just super nice. She took a picture with me, and I got her autograph. And she even came out from behind the booth and talked to me, asked me questions. She answered all my questions about the movies that she was in that I asked her. And she even took my phone and took a selfie with us. So she was just super cool. And I wish it could have been that way with me and Michael J. Fox. All right, that's going to do it for my walk and talk. And I'll show you my Back to the Future merch and also my framed autograph poster. All right, so I did want to show some of the Back to the Future things that I have, and collection of Michael J. Fox stuff I have as well. Here's one of his books. I do have his other books as well. There's a 4K of Back to the Future trilogy. This is a model of the DeLorean that I put together years ago. And I found this recently. It's Teen Wolf. I think I got it at Target. And there's my picture with the man himself. And I did find these cassette tapes. This one's still in the package. And it was $4.99. And I had the single for Double Back from Back to the Future Part 3. And this cassette tape as well, which is, this one has been opened and played many of times. You can see it's practically wore out. I found this at Kroger one day. It's Biff's car with the manure on it. Thought that was kind of interesting. And I do have the VHS tapes of the original Back to the Future and Part 2. Then also I have these figures of Marty McFly and Doc Brown and Marty McFly from Part 2, which I did purchase this cap and I wore to the Comicpalooza. And also, I think I got this from Walmart. Yes. And it is a limited edition orange mix vinyl. I haven't opened it. I don't really plan on opening it, but I wanted to add it to my collection. And I know this isn't Back to the Future related, but being a fan of Michael J. Fox, I have several of his movies: Doc Hollywood, Greedy, Bright Lights, Big City, Teen Wolf, Life with Mikey. And I found this People's book. It has a lot of pictures. And the whole book is just about Michael J. Fox. And in my closet, I've had this for years. It's not the actual jacket that he wore, but I did purchase this vest at a store, sort of my original Back to the Future outfit. And I actually bought this before the Comicpalooza. It's the jacket from Part 2. Unfortunately, it didn't arrive until the day I was at Comicpalooza. It actually was delivered while I was there, so I just missed getting it. It was delayed. I wanted to wear this with the cap, but it wasn't meant to be. And also on my TV shelf here at the bottom, I have these figures of Doc Brown and Marty McFly, and Biff over here in the corner with the sports almanac. And this was a DeLorean my niece bought me years ago for Christmas. And if you push the button in the back, It lights up and make different noises. Now I am going to have to get me some kind of a stand for these figures because they're always falling over. They don't stand up very good. And this is my collection of t-shirts. This is the one I got from Comicpalooza with the Back to the Future style lettering. This is the shirt that I purchased before I went to the Comicpalooza, that I wore to the Comicpalooza as well. I got this shirt when I went to Universal Studios in Florida August of 2022. And this is the Speed Pass, which I thought looked pretty cool. And when I went to Disney World and Universal Studios, my niece had bought me this lanyard to put my pass in, which is Back to the Future as well. And also, she made me this t-shirt for Christmas one year. If you see all the symbols on it, it's from Back to the Future. And it says, "Make like a tree and get out of here." And also have these pair of socks of Doc and Marty. I've never worn them. Now I do have another shirt that says my other vehicle is a DeLorean, but I could not find it for the life of me. I'm sure it'll turn up when I'm not looking for it. And I finally got my autographed poster framed. And to continue my story, at 3 o'clock, they had the Back to the Future panel, and I went to that. And Michael J. Fox, he did speak a lot. Some things I couldn't understand, but he was really funny. At one point, there was a lady doing sign language to the crowd, and he stopped the panel, and he was like, "Hold up, I want to recognize this lady right here doing the sign language because both of us up here can barely speak any English." And I thought that was funny. And then also they were talking about Christopher Lloyd. He one time took a bike ride across the country, and he parked his bike on top of this bridge, and he went underneath the bridge to take a nap, and he heard a vehicle approach, and he was like, "Oh, my bike's up there, my personal belongings." So he started to make his way up there, and he saw this guy look down and see him, and he yelled out, "It's Reverend Jim," which that was his character's name on the TV show Taxi. And then Michael J. Fox chimed in and said, "And that person was me." So yeah, it was very funny. It lasted about an hour or so, so I really did enjoy it. And that's going to do it for my video today. Thanks for listening to me. Thanks to my walk and talk of my experience with Michael J. Fox and Comicpalooza. As always, thank you for watching my videos, and stay caffeinated.